a monster that we all know by now is near and dear to my heart. Somebody that I absolutely there's no way we're not covering this, and that monster is Kurt Russell. Just kidding. Now, of course, that's Godzilla. Monarch Legacy of Monsters, Legendary's Monsterverse series, has released some stills. I assume we're getting a trailer here shortly. Couldn't help myself. I had to throw this on here. But I really like what I see here, and I'm honestly shocked at the angle that they're taking. Because as it turns out, Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt are playing the same character. And he's just the younger version of Kurt. And I'm just like, holy shit, like that's great. But hey, this I was sold from Legendary's Godzilla. Say what you will about those films, but I'm a diehard for them. I love them. They are so much fun for me. I just love going to the theater and watching them. I was skeptical about a TV show, but I think from the stills, it looks like it's holding up. It is being done by Apple, which means I will have to take advantage of my father's account to watch it. But it is one of those things where it's like, I'm in, man. Godzilla, Kurt Russell. Luke, how you feeling?
I too was surprised about the angle here. I think it's a plus and a minus for me. I think it's a really intriguing kind of story arc. Because I think is this supposed to start taking place in the 50s or something like that? I believe from the thing there, we have a wide span of time here. It looks like where we have, you know, young Kurt Russell and then current Kurt Russell in a sense. I'm forgetting. I think maybe the last name Shaw or something like that. I can't see. Um, the name. I know they call him by name in there, but I thought that was an intriguing kind of aspect to this because I wasn't prepared for that. Now, in terms of a minus, where I had my hopes up a little bit because I wanted to see Kurt and Wyatt on screen together as like not necessarily father and son, but whatever the dynamic was going to be. I was really hoping to see these two act together in this, which there's no way that can happen, but. I'm definitely intrigued with this one. I think it's 10 episodes is what it's going to be.
10 episodes. And you're right, it does span a wide berth of time. It looks like throughout before the events of the 2014 film, throughout the events of Kong Skull Island, and also King of the Monsters, as well as kind of wrapping up in Kong, Godzilla versus Kong. So, it looks like they're going to be running through everything, which is pretty great. I like the idea of, just getting into Monarch and going in between these large scale events. It gives us some more time with the monsters themselves, which is great. What I really want to see from this, honestly, is like, I love Godzilla. And if they can do them right on, a smaller budget on the smaller screen, which I don't know the budget of this, it could be just as much as the, films. But if they can do them right, then great. I'd love to see them a little bit. But like, I want to see more monsters. They did something really neat in King of the Monsters where they showed a bunch of original kaiju that aren't based off of anything from the Toho series or anything at all. And they never brought them back for Kong versus Godzilla, which I get it. That's a very focused film. You want to have Kong and Godzilla on screen fighting. But like, I really want to see them dive into more of these kaiju, especially the more original ones. I want to see what we can bring to the Godzilla franchise.
And that's what I'm hoping for here. I'm hoping for a different feel for this. I'm really excited to see what kind of lore they're going to add into, the films that we've already seen and putting in some of that connective tissue. Honestly, for me, I think we'll probably have Godzilla pop up at some point, but I don't want that to be like the force. You know what I mean? I would love for them to take more advantage of these monsters and everything and kind of lay out the lore there and see what kind of dynamic we get, just because I think if you have 10 episodes you can span off a lot of different storytelling here. And I honestly, like, for me, where sometimes there's hesitation for things, for this I don't feel hesitant about it. After seeing this, knowing that Russells were attached here, I really feel like we're going to get something fun. And
I think so too.
I hope they take advantage of what you're talking about in terms of, you know, showcasing more of the monsters that we haven't seen and making the most of the 10 parts. And it's not something where Godzilla's the driving force and, we're very sparing. I say go balls to the wall with this thing, really show off the different monsters, add a bunch of lore to the actual universe that's already been established. Do we know if we're getting another feature film?
Kong Kong and Godzilla is coming
Okay.
next year.
Okay,
Well,
so
with the writer's strike and everything, I have
who
no
knows?
idea. But
At some point,
it's supposedly
TBD.
coming. Yes.
Um, so I'm curious to see if that's also going to set up, or if we're going to see Kurt Russell,
I imagine that that's going to bring something into it.
because that's going to pique my interest. Like, to obviously have Kurt Russell in anything is going to make it a must see. So I'm excited to see what the future is going to be for Godzilla. The only thing was I was hoping that these two phenomenal guys were going to be on screen together, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it yet. But hey, I guess if Radio Silence is going to be doing some sort of Escape from New York some way down the line.
I was literally about to say, dude, like if you didn't bring it up, I was going to, because somebody on Twitter said, why don't they just take Kurt and his son and do a little something in the Escape franchise? And I'm just like, let's fucking go, baby. This is perfect. I love it. Like, and I think that's one of the things too. The last thing I want to say before we hop into the next story is just like Wyatt Russell. I think when he first started popping up in things, people kind of were like very much treating him like a Scott Eastwood, in the sense of just like, it's the name. There's nothing really there. But unlike Scott Eastwood, who, if you like him, you like him. I just feel like he's kind of still living in his father's shadow a little bit. Just because I haven't seen him in a lot of big projects. Wyatt Russell has done a really good job of setting himself apart and, kind of walking alongside his father, I would say, in that sense. And I think that he is definitely somebody that I know you and I would probably adore working with if we never even get to work with the man himself. But Wyatt would be just excellent. I mean, if you guys have not seen, what's the fucking World War II one? Overlord, yes. Really
That's going to be a
enjoyed that.
podcast pick.
Absolutely. And I enjoyed his performance in Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well.
Yes.
He's very good in that. I loved his shades of just kind of like you sympathize for him, but then at the same time he's just awful. And it's just so great. Like he's great in that. But yeah, I'm very happy to see these two at least working on a project together. Like you said, we need to get them on screen together at some point. Maybe they'll do some timeline shenanigans. And we can make that happen. So
let's do it. Either way, this is looking real intriguing. So
definitely interested into it. I was sold from the moment they mentioned Godzilla. So there you go.
Of course you are.